Hello students and welcome back. If you look out over here at the pictures, you must have realized that today we are going to do something very funny. We are going to learn something very humorous. And right enough, today we are going to begin with a humorous poem called The Height of the Ridiculous by Oliver Wendell Holmes. Now, Oliver Wendell Holmes, I call him a versatile man. Reason because he was not only a writer, but he was also a doctor and an educator. So, if he wrote such funny poems, I am sure even as a doctor, he must have really made the patients happy with his jokes, and he must have really been loved as a doctor. Now, class, we all know laughter is supposed to be the best medicine in one's life. Reason is because we all know life is so short lived, and to take life very seriously is foolishness. Because sometimes it's very important to laugh at oneself also, to laugh on what we are doing, to laugh at the situations that we see around. That helps us to extend our life. And that can be the best essence in one life. To laugh and make others also laugh. Be happy, make others also feel happy. So here is a poem with this message by Oliver Holmes. So let us enjoy the poem, The Height of the Ridiculous. I will quickly read the poem to you once before I explain to you deeper. I wrote some lines once on a time in wondrous merry mood, and thought, as usual men would say, they were exceeding good. They were so cure, so very cure, I laughed as I would die. Albeit, in the general way, a sober man am I. I called my servant, and he came. How kind it was of him to mind a slender man like me, he of the might limb. These to the printer, I exclaimed, and in my humorous way I added, as a trifling jest, there'll be the devil to pay. He took the paper, and I watched and saw him peep within. At the first line he read, his face was all upon the grin. He read the next, the grin grew broad and shot from ear to ear. He read the third, a chuckling noise I now began to hear. The fourth he broke into a row. The fifth his waistband split. The sixth he burst 5 buttons and tumbled in a fit. 10 days and nights with sleepless eye I watched that wretched man, and since I never dare to write as funny as I can. Now let's understand what the poet is trying to tell us, the height of the ridiculous. The poet says, I wrote some lines once on a time in wondrous merry mood. He says one day he was in a very happy mood, a merry mood, a wondrous mood, and he wrote some beautiful lines. And thought as usual men would say they were exceeding good. And just as he had written any other poem, he realized that probably even this is going to be a good one, which the readers would enjoy it and find it good. They were so cure, so very cure, I laughed as I would die. Albeit in the general way, a sober man am I. Poet says, after he had completed writing those lines, he started reading it. And the funniest part is, he found it so funny, so pure, that he himself started laughing. And he says, otherwise, he is a very sober man. Albeit meaning though, Thought, though. He says, though he is a very sober man, a very clear headed man. But today, he says he himself was laughing at the lines that he had written. So much he was laughing that he thought he would die of laughter. That funny he had written. I called my servant and he came. How kind it was of him to mind a slender man like me, he of the might limb. So after that, he laughed and finally called his servant, and he says he's very happy with his servant because he calls him a very kind man. who's looking after the poet, who is a very slender person, slender, thin. And the servant was just the opposite. He was a very muscled man, a might limb, very strong hands. So for that, the poet is grateful to the servant. These to the printer, I exclaimed, and in my humorous way I added, as a trifling jest, there'll be the devil to pay. So whatever he had written, the lines on the paper, he handed that paper to the servant, and he told the servant, go and give it to the printer. And he was in such a happy mood, in a funny mood, that he added another statement while he was talking, a trifling jest, a joke. And he told in a very funny, a humorous way, that don't forget to take the money from that devil. Ask that devil to pay. That means the printer. He took the paper and I watched and saw him peep within. At the first line he read, his face was all upon the grin. Now the servant was very inquisitive. Probably somewhere, no, he must have been hearing the laughter of his master. So he knew that probably his master had written something very funny and he was inquisitive to read. So slowly he went on to peep. And the moment he read the first line, he was already grinning. Grinning meaning smiling. He read the next. The grin grew broad and shot from ear to ear. He read the third. A chuckling noise I now began to hear. So at the second line, the smile started becoming broader on the face. From year to year meaning it became broader. He started smiling all the more. Third line, there was a chuckling noise. Chuckling noise meaning to laugh quietly, softly. So even along with the writer, even the servant found the lines to be very, very funny and he was enjoying it. The fourth, he broke into a row. The fifth, his waistband split. The sixth, he burst 5 buttons and tumbled in a fit. So the moment the servant read the fourth line, he started laughing so loudly, it was like a roar of laughter, loud laughter. Fifth, he was laughing more, so much continuously, that his waistband, the belt only came out. And at the sixth line, he laughed all the more, and his shirt buttons, the 5 buttons on the shirt, opened up. And finally, the writer saw him tumbling, rolling on the ground, and laughing loudly. 10 days and nights with sleepless eye, I watched the wretched man. And since I never dare to write as funny as I can. So writer says the servant continuously laughed for 10 days and nights. It's an exaggerated statement, not possible. It is just to show that the servant was laughing continuously for many days. So much he started laughing that even the writer felt that it was becoming like an helpless condition. The servant just couldn't stop himself from laughing. And from that day, the writer made up his mind that he will not write such funny poems. He felt, if imagine the servant only is laughing so much, what would happen once the readers would start reading his funny poem? So, this is the explanation of the poem, class. If the only what you can understand, the only central idea that one can understand is that learn to laugh, learn to enjoy life. That is it. Okay, now let us do the poetic grammar from the poem. First, let us do the rhyme scheme of the poem. If you look at the first line, you have the last word time, so you write alphabet A. Next line, you have mood, so mood is not rhyming with time, so you write B. Then you have third line say. Say is neither rhyming with mood nor time, so you write the alphabet C. And finally, you have fourth line, you have good, and good, if you see, is rhyming with mood. Therefore, you write the alphabet B, since that is what you wrote for mood. So, your rhyme scheme is A, B, C, B. And whatever the first stanzas, the rhyme scheme is, that is applicable to all, because you see there is uniformity. The entire poem is written in 4 lines. So each stanza is consisting of 4 lines. So that is your rhyme scheme A, B, C, B. Now quickly let us do the figures of speech. Second line in the poem is in wondrous merry mood. This is tautology, because over here wondrous and merry, both the meanings are the same, means happy. So two different words of the same meaning are present in one line, therefore it is tautology. Then you have next stanza, they were so cure, so very cure. This is repetition. The word cure is repeated twice for poetic effect. Same stanza, you have the last line, a sober man am I. This is inversion because it's not in a proper grammatic order. The line should have actually been written as I am a sober man. But in poetry, one is allowed to use this kind of a grammatic line, and it is called as an inversion. Then come to the next stanza. You have and shot from year to year. That is, come over here on this particular page, come to the second last stanza, second line, and shot from year to year. This is again a repetition because you have the word year which is repeated twice. Next line you have in that same stanza, he read the third a chuckling noise. I now began to hear. This is an onomatopoeia because you have the sound of chuckling in the sentence. Then you come to the last stanza, 10 days and nights with sleepless eye. This is transferred epithet. Transferred epithet, epithet means an adjective or quality. Transferred meaning the quality has been transferred from one to another. So over here if you see, it is called as sleepless eye. But we all know sleepless is an adjective. So we all know I cannot be sleepless. It is a human being who is sleepless. Over here the servant was sleepless. Over here the servant as well as the writer was sleepless. So the quality of sleeplessness from the characters has been transferred to the I. So it's called as a transferred epithet. So with this class, I complete the poem. Remember one thing, in your board exams, critical appreciation will be asked of the poem. It comes for 5 marks. And if you are asked critical appreciation, do not forget, you have to write the name of the poem, the name of the poet, the central idea or the theme of the poem, the rhyme scheme of the poem. You may write even the rhyming words. The figures of speech you will write, not all. You may pick any one or two you may write. You may not write even the lines, but you do mention which are the figures of speech the poet has used. Okay, and that is it for 5 marks. That's it what you have to write in your board exam. So I hope you enjoyed the poem. You found it funny. So with this funny poem, I end my class today. Have a great day ahead. God bless you.